Welcome to an all-new episode of SJHL Weekly. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Jeromy Corrigan, and it's shaping up to be another great episode of SJHL Weekly. Of course, I'll be joined by my co-hosts, Rory Mcgouran and Jamie Neugebauer, shortly, and we will be joined today by forward for the Humboldt Broncos, Cage Newans, who had a superb week for the Humboldt Broncos as they picked up 3 wins, as well as Alex Schweitzer of SaskEnergy to talk about the Goals for KidSports program that's well underway so far this season in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. Before we get started, I have to give a huge shout out to all of our sponsors here in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League that support us throughout putting on all of our great shows: Chevrolet, Capital Auto Mall, Cantera Seeds, RBC, SaskTel, SGEU, Direct West, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Tourism Saskatchewan, Young's Equipment. Thank you so much for your support, because without your support, of course, these shows would not be possible. And it's time to bring in our co-hosts, Rory and Jamie. Fellas, it was a busy week in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. Rory, how was your weekend?
It was fantastic. I'm missing you guys. It's our second or third straight virtual show to start the new year here. I can't speak for Nugsy, but I, for one, would like to be back in the studio, and I can tell you that I am not wearing sweatpants right now, wrapping up our virtual experience here on the show. But big shout out to all the neutral sites. There's a lot of them this week, but Martinsville, Wadena, and Rosetown. I know the crowds came out in droves. It was sold out in Martinsville for the Broncos and the North Stars. I'm sure the fans in Wadena and Rosetown also brought it, and you love those small rink neutral site games. So shout out to those 3 communities for bringing out their fans. It was awesome.
Yeah, 100%. And the good news is, with the whole studio situation, we should be back in studio next week for SJHL Weekly, but stay tuned. Nugsy, how was your weekend?
Yeah, full disclosure, I didn't travel with the Hounds in the north there. I watched the games on Hockey TV, though, and let me tell you, watching the team that one works for on Hockey TV is so painful. I think I probably lost some hair. I find it so stressful to watch it on Hockey TV. I can only imagine what it's like to be a hockey parent. So big time shout outs to the hockey parents out there who watch their kids on Hockey TV. I'm very glad Hockey TV exists and that the SJ has that relationship with it. But boy, oh boy, was it stressful for 3 days for me. My heart was going through my chest. But there you go. I survived it. Thanks for asking.
There you go. And of course, if you can't make it out to any of the local rinks, you can get your subscription to Hockey TV throughout the season. But yeah, let's get into the recap of this weekend. It was a very busy weekend in the SJHL. Let's start with Friday. 4 games on the schedule. The Weyburn Red Wings with a big 4-1 win at home over the Melville Millionaires. Humboldt with a 4-3 win over the Battlefords at the EPA. Larange earning a 5-4 shootout win over the Estevan Bruins, and a big win for the Melfort Mustangs, bouncing back, winning 7-1 over the Hounds. Then on Saturday, all 12 teams in action in the SJHL. Weyburn completing the weekend sweep of the Melville Millionaires with a 5-4 overtime win. Yorkton with their first win of 2023, winning 3-2 in a shootout over Melfort. Humboldt doubling up Battleford's 4-2 in Martinsville. Flin Flon with a 5-2 win over Notre Dame. Nipawin won their 5th straight game with a 3-2 win over the Kindersley Clippers in a shootout in Rosetown. And the Larange Ice Wolves with a big 6-1 win over Estevan. And then finally on Sunday, it wrapped up between Larange and Notre Dame. These 2 teams going to overtime once again, and the Larange Ice Wolves with a 3-2 overtime win. They get 7 out of a possible 8 points to wrap up their week. So to start it off, we have to start, I think there's a couple of teams, I think, this week, guys in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League that had really good weeks. And let's start, Rory, with the Humboldt Broncos. They pick up 6 points this week with 3 wins. And of course, when you sweep the first place battle for North Stars, it's a picture perfect week for the Broncos. What did you think of their play this weekend?
Confidence is at an utmost high for the Humboldt Broncos, right? There's 1,400 fans in Humboldt on Friday for that 1-goal victory. And then in Martinsville, sold out in front of, 600-700. But they're the first team now to beat Battlefords twice, and they did one better. They're the first team to beat them 3 times. They've won 3 out of 4 games against the former number 1 ranked team in the country. So, yeah, confidence is at an utmost 5 for the Humboldt Broncos. And I know there was only 3 goals separating the two games, but in my opinion, they weren't really that close. The Broncos outshot them 99-57. They were putting pressure on the D. It was transition through the neutral zone has been the biggest change for the Broncos through the new year. So they're averaging the second most shots on net, and they're giving up the least amount in the league. So, and that's all due to their speed and transition through the neutral zone, clogging in the gaps. It was 3 goals separating, but the Humboldt Broncos really dictated the pace, and I think that they got to come in to the second push here, close to the playoffs, thinking that they got Battleford's number.
Now, worth mentioning, on Friday nights, the Battleford North Stars were without their entire number one line. Two-thirds of that returned on Saturday. But in the grand scheme of things, Rory, when you look at this win for the Humboldt Broncos, how do you think they can build off this going into the rest of the regular season?
I think it started actually from the Christmas break. When they came into January, you looked at the schedule. They faced Flin Flon 3 times, Melfort twice, Battleford's twice. They've won 6 out of those 8 games. So just keep doing what you're doing from the new year, because it's balanced offense. You're getting capable goaltending now from Pitlick and Motu. I mean, you look at some of these numbers. Cage Newans, who we're going to have later on the show, we'll talk to him about the 2 games and his thoughts. He's got 7 points in his last 3 games. Alex Soretsky has 11 goals in his last 12 games. Dalen Weigel, even from the blue line, 10 points in his last 10 games. So you're just getting a combined effort from everyone from the top to bottom. And it's the best hockey they've been playing this season, and that's how you build on it.
For sure. Jamie, I'll ask you on the other side of things for the Battleford's North Stars. The team's now lost 3 out of 4 games in the last week and a half. Do you think there's any cause for concern for the Battleford North Stars?
Concern, no. And I interviewed Braden Klamosko when the Stars were in Wilcox to take on the Hounds. That was a 9-6 crazy game. Obviously, you guys remember. Right. Josh Cote gave up 6 goals. He hadn't given up 4 in a long time, and no more than 4 in the season up until that point. And so there were some warning signs. I think Braden Klamosko saw it. Humboldt went 4 for 8 on the power play over that 2 time. If you're 50% on the PK, you're probably not going to win too many hockey games over a series either. And, so Braden Klamosko knows that there was going to be some adversity. He said that exactly in an interview I did with him. He said adversity will come. And then, we need it. We need to know that, our guys will overcome it. Adversity is going to come in the playoffs too, but they're so far ahead, in first place. They're human beings. They're teenagers and 20-year-olds, so it's going to happen. And yeah, I think there's zero concern from Battleford's. Obviously, Braden Klamosko, Yuri Childeros, very competitive people. They'll get things right, and it comes right away for them in a very interesting one up at the Access Communications Center against L'Orange coming up. Should be very interesting, but I have no concern at all for Battleford.
And you mentioned adversity was eventually going to come, and it's probably, for the Stars, they're probably happy the adversity is coming now rather than potentially coming in the postseason. Well, you touched on Nugsy, you touched on L'Orange, so let's go there next. They picked up 7 out of a possible 8 points this week. It started with a loss to the Battleford's North Stars in overtime on Tuesday, but then 3 straight wins this weekend, 7 out of a possible 8 points, and now they've climbed all the way up into second place in the SJHL. Just your thoughts on how the Ice Wolves played this weekend?
Well, first of all, I give them a lot of credit, but there's only one other team in the SJHL that's better at home this year so far than Battleford, or only Battleford's is better at home than L'Orange, I should say. And they play, the Ice Wolves do a style of hockey, especially at home, that, how do I put this diplomatically, forces the refs to decide whether they're going to call everything, and they play on the edge. They have 277 more penalty minutes at home than any other home team in the SJHL in terms of home game PIMs, and they're only 9th on the road, but 277 more PIMs at home, which is a staggering number. I couldn't believe it when I looked at the stats, but it works for them. And the 2 games against Estevan, it was a bit of a bloodbath. The Estevan's the 5th most penalized team in the league, and they're not going to, they're no shrinking daisies. They're a big group too, and I think Jason Tatarnik wasn't thrilled with how his team played over the 2 games either. But L'Orange will challenge you physically, they'll challenge you mentally in all sorts of ways to stay physical, especially in their rank, and they seem to get timely goals when they need it. They get timely saves. Topher Chirico was excellent in the 2 games against Estevan. Dawson Smith good against Notre Dame, and for that Notre Dame 3-2 game, for the Hounds to go in there, I think it shows a lot for this Notre Dame team without Jared Sitch, without Vinny Palmerine, without Rocky Bird, with a bunch of guys dealing with injuries while playing too, for them to kind of match that intensity for 60 minutes and almost win and have a third period lead in a 3rd and 3 in Larange shows a lot. But this Larange team, they find a way to win by Nook or by Correct, and as I said, they'll challenge you, and they'll challenge the refs, and they'll challenge everybody to match that intensity. They play hard, and I don't think the Humboldts and the Battlefords and them will not want to take them on in the playoffs at any point. It's not going to be fun, especially at the Mel.
For sure. I'm going to build off that, Rory. I'll give you this question then. We've talked about the seeding between 2 and 6 in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League right now. Just looking at the standings, separated by 7 points. But when it comes to teams that probably would like out of the teams that probably need home ice advantage the most in the first round, do you think Larange is one of them?
I'd actually counter it saying I think Estevan is one of them, because Estevan's minus 22 goal differential on the road. They're plus 22 at home. It's a scary stat for me for Estevan on the road. But if we're talking about playoffs, can this be an opening round playoff series, please?
Sure.
Holy moly, do these two teams not like each other? And I would love to see them go back and forth between Estevan and that building with their fans and the Mel in Larange, where they're so difficult to play against. Plus 42 goal differential for Larange at home as well. But 120 penalty minutes in that second game. I'd say this is a series that would go 7, just like last year's SJHL finals, with home team winning every game, because they're a tale of two stories when Larange is at home and on the road, and especially Estevan too at home or on the road. But please, hockey gods, opening round series, Ice Wolves and the Bruins, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I think fingers crossed from everyone here at SJHL Weekly potentially about that series. One team I want to move on to, guys, is the Nipawin Hawks. We talked about them last week. They're playing some really good hockey for this young team. They're probably playing their best hockey of the season. They've won 5 straight now. They won 3 straight this week, Jamie. And all of a sudden, when you look at the standings, they're only 5 points back of the Melfort Mustangs for 6th. Maybe just talk about their play and the fact that, we talked about with this Nipawin Hawks club, prior to Christmas, the biggest concern was how many pucks they were allowing in the back of the net. And now all of a sudden they're playing some really good defense. And I mean, all 3 wins they had this week, they won 3-2.
Yeah, they only have 1 loss in 2023 so far, even. Yeah. So Nipawin is really doing well. And there's also nobody in the league that's better at a shootout than Nipawin. They are phenomenal. Alex Ochitwa, if there was somebody in the league that you maybe want to take one shot and think he's probably going to put in the back of the net, Alex Ochitwa has maybe been the best shootout in the league. He's got 3 goals on 3 opportunities, and he's been huge for them. And you know what? They also, we talked about those neutral site games. They won both neutral site games that they played in Wadena and Rosetown. Lots of respect dealt to the teams that deserve it. Every team in this league is good, but their last 4 games were Melville, Yorkton, Melville, Kindersley. So, it's still time for Nipawin to show it, when they're facing teams above them in the schedule. But, again, we got to give Tad Kozan a lot of credit. We talked a lot about it, right? The identity of this team was that they could score a lot of goals, and Braxton Buckberger has been an absolute fire. Got 9 points and 6 goals in the last 7 games. And he's producing, and Carson Dobson is producing. And as a team, they've really tightened it up, and they were really far Tad Kozan and try not to be Doug Johnson, and now they're trying to meet in the middle and take some of the things from the Doug Johnson era maybe and try to get the best of both. And big time kudos to Tad Kozan for bringing that out of these kids. It's hard to change identity kind of in the middle of a season, but in Jackson Feldner and net deserves a lot of credit, and Damon Cunningham too, both 2 very solid goalies. The Nipawin Hawks have found a way to do that. They beat the team. You can only beat the team that you're facing right now. Some down teams in there right now. Of course, that can change. But, got lots of kudos to win 5 of 6 so far in 2023.
Rory, you had a point?
Yeah, the Nipawin Hawks, 6 out of their 7 games since 2023 has turned the calendar, been decided by 1 goal. And they've won 4 out of those 6 games. So, they beat Melfort by 1 goal. Then they lose to Melfort by 1 goal. They lose to LaRange by 1 goal. Then they beat Melville, Yorkton, Kindersley, teams below them, but they're all close games. And that part of a swimming pool where that divides the shallow end from the deep end, and it's a little bit of a slope. You sometimes step on it and you're like, whoa, and then you go into the deep end. That's the Nipawin Hawks to me, because on both sides, the Nipawin Hawks, they sometimes slip into the deep end with the upper echelon of the league, and we're like, yeah, they're in there. They're a really, really good team. And then if you're not alert against the Nipawin Hawks and you take them lightly, well, you're slipping on that slope as well, and they're going to take advantage and beat you. So the Nipawin Hawks are just right there. They're flirting with being one of the top teams. They're beating the teams they're supposed to be. And they're coming out of these 1-goal games. So the credits to the coaching staff to having these players that we thought they would be a year away, to have them dialed in right now. And they're a slippery slope, those Nipawin Hawks. And it's any game they can take out the best. That's for sure.
And I just want to add one more thing too.
Go ahead, Newsy.
Sorry, just one more thing, Jeremy. I apologize. I'm very happy for Braxton Buckberger. His brother Boston gets so much press. His little brother, Ronan, gets a lot of press. Is still in U18. And Braxton, very talented kid, good forward. Plays the game hard the right way. It's great to see a guy whose brothers are getting a lot of the kind of the kudos, quote unquote, and Braxton deserves a lot too. He's been phenomenal, since he dealt with a couple of injuries. And, it's great for Ted Kozin to have a guy like that to rely on. But just from a personal, human standpoint, great for Braxton as well.
I was just going to tell the guys in the back to clip that analogy of the Nipawin Hawks from Rory, because that was 10 out of 10. The Hawks this week looking to try and continue their winning streak. They host Yorkton tomorrow. Then they have a home-and-home with LaRange. So a good weekend for the Nipawin Hawks. Finally, guys, the other team I want to talk about is the Weyburn Red Wings. I mean, 2 back-to-back wins over the Melville Millionaires. Now, all of a sudden, they have sole possession of the 8th seed, and they're playing some really good hockey, Rory.
They're playing unbelievable hockey. So you mentioned that 2 points up on Notre Dame. Notre Dame has 1 game in hand. That's an even race that I expect it to be right down to the wire between those 2 teams. Now, yes, more teams can enter that race, but right now it's Weyburn and Notre Dame for me for that final 8 spot just at this time. But how good has Ty Mason been? But also, how big has Riley Morgan been for Ty Mason? Those 2 have 37 combined points in 13 games since Riley Morgan has become a Weyburn Red Wing. So, it was a high price to get him out of LaRange, but what it's done is gotten the Weyburn Red Wings to be one of the most competitive teams, have one of the most energetic top lines with Mason and Morgan and Hassman. Those guys combined for, a litany of points this weekend as well. And they're a team that's, at one point, maybe in November, thought, it's still a year out. It's tough for Weyburn, been a couple of years without playoffs, but 1 trade, now a top line, great goaltending, and they're in 8th spot. So kudos to them.
And what I'd like to add to that too is, we've talked about, the addition obviously of Riley Morgan, Turin, Hassman, Mason, but Jacob Kalin has 8 goals in his last 9 games for the Weyburn Red Wings. They're getting contributions from everyone, which has obviously helped them in their play. Nugsy, just your thoughts on the Wings play as of late.
Yeah, you know what? They've been great. You talked about Nipawin coming out flying in 2023. Well, Weyburn has been just as good. 5 wins out of 7 in 2023, and the losses were to Battlefords, which a lot of people have, and that game in Radville that the Hounds actually played extremely well as well. Could have gone either way though at different times. And I also just want to throw a thought about Melville there for a second too, who Weyburn just played. Jackson Martin's, part of that Zach Kane deal. He has 4 goals in 4 straight games as well. And, I think, for a kid like Jackson going from a Flin Flon team, the only team he's known, first of all, as a 20-year-old, and a team that he went to the Centennial Cup with, SJHL finals, could have been hard mentally on a young kid. But to come in with the attitude and produce and play really well like he has been in Melville speaks a lot to his character. I know, Rory, you were extremely high on him and said that trade was extremely even between Kane and Martins, if not even in the favor of Melville. And Jackson Martins has proven something to me in terms of character even more than his talent, which we already knew was considerable.
And you touched on Zach Kane. Well, Zach Kane and the Flin Flon Bombers also picked up 2 points this weekend with a 5-2 win over the Notre Dame Hounds. So that's this past weekend, kind of in a nutshell. The big storylines coming away from this past weekend. After the break, we will be pleased to be joined by forward for the Humboldt Broncos, Cage Newans. Of course, the Broncos, we touched on it. 3 big wins this past week for Humboldt, and Newans was a big part of it. So we'll chat with Cage right after the break. This is SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms.
Get red and ready with Case IH and Young's equipment. From Case IH combines to MacDon headers, Young's carries all the best in new or pre-owned harvest equipment. With field-ready, industry-leading equipment and highly dedicated service staff, we're here when you need us most. Come experience our award-winning service for yourself and visit youngs.ca to find your nearest Young's equipment location.
For victims of domestic abuse, fleeing may mean leaving everything behind. There is hope. SaskTel provides brand new cell phones so that starting over is possible. Learn more at sastel.com/fresh start.
SaskEnergy Network members are the best choice for natural gas solutions for your home or business. With comprehensive services like heating equipment maintenance, appliance installation, and in-store financing, they have natural gas solutions that go beyond heating to bring you the comfort, efficiency, and reliability of natural gas, both indoors and outdoors, all year long. For whole home natural gas solutions, network members burn brighter.
Give me more. Yeah. Give me more. You got that thing that I'm looking for. Yeah, give me more.
At Viterra, we believe in the power of connection. Our world-leading agriculture network connects producers and consumers to supply top-quality food ingredients each and every day. Our team takes great pride in working closely with farmers to help feed the world. It's something we've been doing for over 100 years. And as an industry leader, we're dedicated to playing a critical role in meeting the needs of a growing world. Because together, we're stronger and achieve more.
Capital Auto Mall is a proud partner of the SJHL, supporting the rich traditions and proud future of junior hockey in Saskatchewan. Capital Auto Mall, on the corner of Rochdale and Pasqua in Regina.
Welcome back to SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms. It's Jeromy, Rory, and Jamie. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we are going to head to the video chat line where we're pleased to be joined by Humboldt Broncos forward Cage Newans. Cage, thanks so much for joining us today. How's it going?
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It's going really well. How are you guys doing?
Hey, it's always a good day when we get to talk hockey for sure. Cage, first and foremost, I'll give you a nice, easy question to start. 2 big wins over the Battleford North Stars this weekend. What did you think of your team's performance?
Yeah, it was unreal. Huge confidence booster for our team in general, and then just for everyone personally too. I think obviously Battleford was super hot there. They won whatever it was, 25, 30 games in a row. And they're a great team. They're a really good team. A lot of returning guys, a lot of older guys that have been playing really good for them this year. But, you know, at the end of the day, they're human and they're beatable. And I think we proved that this weekend, not only once, but twice in regulation. So I think that was huge for our team.
Jamie?
Yeah, Cage, thanks for doing this. I got to ask you, you came through, the VI and Junior B there in BC and a bit in the Dow, but then, jumped right into Humboldt. And it seems like you've really been able to kind of marry that hard physical style, take some time in the penalty box, but also fill the net and be able to balance it really well. I was wondering how Scott Barney, has helped you, I guess, sort of make that perfect balance maybe of being aggressive and physical and that kind of thing, but also being a points guy too.
Yeah, I mean, he's such a good players coach. Like, he really lets you be creative and kind of play your own style. He's not like a huge systems guy where you have to be a robot out there and playing the systems down to 100%, down to the T. And he's helped me a lot develop since the day I got here with my physical side of the game, my scoring side, my offensive side. And then even the little things just on the D side of the game too. So he's been huge, helping me in the last year and a half, just kind of developing and becoming a better hockey player all around. So I can't thank him enough for that. Really, he's one of if not the best coach I've ever had for sure. So he's a huge help.
Rory?
Newey, thanks so much for joining us. Of course, the Humboldt Broncos are playing some of their best hockey in 2023. We looked at the schedule, right? 3 games against Flawn, 2 against Melfort, 2 against Battlefords. What's been kind of leading the charge for you guys collectively in the new year after getting the reset at the Christmas break and then coming out the way you guys have?
Yeah, I think just kind of having a fresh start coming into the new year was pretty big for us. It was a little up and down in 2022, kind of at the end of the year there, which is all right. I mean, it happens. But this year we kind of just came in with a fresh start, with a fresh mindset, and we've been playing our best hockey. That's all you can really say about it. And especially when we have our full healthy lineup where our team is so good, so deep. I mean, all 4 lines have been producing, playing well in the D zone, playing well everywhere. Our goalies have been next to the best. Like, they've been unbelievable. Our D men have been unbelievable. Everything's just kind of starting to click how I think it was, just meaning to happen soon enough. And it's really good to see for a confidence thing and kind of coming into the near ends of the season somewhat. It's really good to see that we're beating these top teams and playing our best hockey right now. So it's good.
Cage, I wanted to go back to this past Saturday's game against Battleford. You guys played the game in Martinsville as part of Hockey Day in Saskatchewan. I just wanted to get a player's perspective of how that experience was and what the atmosphere was like for you being a part of that event.
Yeah, it was great. It was awesome. It reminded me of like my minor hockey days, in the small rinks. There's people everywhere. It kind of reminded me of like a weekend tournament, when you're in Pee Wee or Adam, right. There's kids running around everywhere. There's games on before you to watch. Small rink. It was really fun. Like, I enjoyed it. It honestly didn't feel like junior hockey. Like, it felt like you're growing up and you're in a tournament again. And I thought that was really cool because I haven't experienced that in a very long time. So I loved it. I enjoyed it. Great atmosphere, great barn, great fans. Obviously a huge win. So I can't complain at all. It was a great time.
Jamie?
Yeah, Cage. I think about you, and one of the things that stands out to me is that shot of yours, that one timer. I think certainly near the top of the league in terms of hardest shots. Would you say that you have the hardest shot, on the team, maybe even the league? I guess where would you kind of rank yourself, and how is it that you got such a shot like that? What a weapon that is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't really say I would rank it top of the league or top of the team. Really, I don't really look at that kind of thing. But I just try to use it to my advantage as much as possible. There's a lot of guys that can shoot really well on their team and in the league. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know. I mean, growing up, I shot a lot of pucks with my dad and my younger brother. We would go out into our backyard and just shoot pucks all day, play hockey all day. And that's always been my kind of my strength. My strongest weapon is my shot. And I think just over the years, as I've gotten stronger and my body's developed more, my shot's gotten better. And like I said, I just try to use it to my advantage as much as possible. So yeah, it's definitely a big strength and a big help in my game for sure.
Rory?
Cage, I know you said that you enjoyed Martinsville. Just a quick question for you: did the Humboldt Bronco trainer Skip? Did he enjoy it as much as you did? Because I know it could be a lot of chaotic for old Skipper there. Did he like it?
I don't know how much Skip enjoyed it. It was pretty chaotic for him with kids running around and having to do his thing. But I think he enjoyed it a little bit. But I also think he could only do it once a year.
Yeah, once a year is enough for him. When you look at the playoff race, Cage, for the Humboldt Broncos, you know how tight it is between second and, I mean, even Nipawin's crawling into that picture, second and seventh. How exciting is it? And, for the whole team to be playing every game being so meaningful because, a little bit of slump and then you're out of a home ice playoff advantage.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. And I think it's really important, too, to kind of play these really important games right now before playoffs even starts, just to get into the playoff mindset because, I think obviously we're going to make the playoffs and, we're going to have to be playing our best hockey to go on a good run with these top teams that have been playing just as good as we have. But yeah, I mean, like you said, you fall off a couple games, you lose home ice or you go down in the standings quite a bit. So every game is really important right now. All the top teams have been playing really well and it's super tight right now and it's actually really good to see. But yeah, the games are very important for us as a team wise and just on a personal level too, even just getting into the playoff mindset before playoff starts, I think is important for everyone.
Now, Cage, just a couple of weeks ago, you were announced to being named to one of the SJHL teams at the SJHL MJHL Showcase. So first and foremost, congratulations. But how excited are you for that event next week?
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm really excited. Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm super proud of everybody, all the 11 guys that got chosen for my team. Everyone deserves it. And I'm also just really excited to be able to do it with a couple guys in their last year, the 20-year-olds and a few guys that I played with last year. They're super duper deserving of it. Guys like Ceccarelli, Suretsky, Barles, guys that I played with last year. Yeah, it's special to me, and I know it's special to them too. So I'm very excited for it. I'm excited to do it with them, and I'm excited to have Barnes behind the bench, and especially old Skippy there. He deserves it too.
Jamie?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, sorry. Last one for me. I keep jumping over Jeromy there. It's I'm learning, Cage. Bear with me here. I got to ask you about you talk about your team being veteran and very talented, and that is obviously true. But Scott Barney has also shown time and time again that he will show trust in young kids if they produce. And a very interesting addition mid-season, straight out of U18 for Matthew Van Blaricom, obviously. Karsten Cater's been there all year, bring in, a Tim Kim, what we all know what he can do when he's going too. So, what's it kind of been like for you being all of a sudden out of the nowhere, almost probably strange enough for you to be an older guy, maybe take some of these young kids under your wing, and how surprised maybe are you with the maturity that you've seen in them? And I mean, specifically even Van Blaricom and Cater.
Yeah, I mean, you don't see it often, like 16-year-old guys playing like 20 minutes a night and producing every night. So, and I mean, that just goes to show how good of a developer Barnes is and how confident he is in all of his guys, whether, you're 16 or 20 or you've played 200 games or 5 games. He has full confidence in every guy, that they're going to go out and play their best every night, no matter the age or whether they're veteran or not. And it's awesome to see young guys coming up, and obviously, it's really good for our organization, too. Obviously, Cater's committed D1. I have no doubt in my mind that Van Blaricom will be committed D1 in the next year. He's an unbelievable player, too. And to be able to do what he's doing coming right out of midget, too, and have the confidence that he has right now, just under a point per game, it's super impressive. But yeah, and I mean, these guys are like, they're top-end players. You can play them with 20-year-olds. You can play them with young guys. The age thing really doesn't seem to matter for Barnes or for anyone because, they're supposed to be out here. They're meant to be out here, and they're playing great. So I don't think age is a big deal right now at all.
Cage, it's now time for everyone's favorite segment of the new year. It's Rory's Rapid Fire. So 4 quick questions for you, all right? No thoughts, just first thing that pops into your head. I'm going to hit you right now. Your favorite rink to play in? Of course, Martinsville was a great scene, but outside of Humboldt, what's your favorite rink to play in?
I'll have to say Flin Flon because of those crazy fans.
Flin Flon and the Whitney Forum, no surprise there. If I was sick and forced to miss a game as a broadcaster, which player do you think would be a good fill-in on the Broncos?
Probably Cassie. I think Kasperi could do a decent job.
All right. How about a teammate that you would not trust with your phone?
With my phone? Ooh. Definitely Alex Soretsky.
And finally, I asked the two Melfort Mustangs last week on the show. You are going to the showcase. Congratulations. Do you maybe have a player that you're interested playing with outside of the Broncos? You guys are obviously on the team with the Flin Flon Bombers, the Nipawin Hawks, a couple other teams. But is there one that maybe you'd like to line up with on your team?
I think it would be pretty cool to play with any of these guys that have been playing against for a while now. You know, guys like on Flin Flon, those top end guys have been around for a while. You know, the guys like Vauclair and Tremblay and Mercier. It's always fun playing against them because they're such great players, and you know they bring out the best in themselves and they bring out the best in me. So I think it'd be cool to play with any of them. Really, any of the guys that are on the team that I've been playing against are all great players, and I think it would just be cool to play with them for a night. So I'm super excited for it. It's going to be a good time.
Jeremy?
Well, Cage, before we let you go, thanks so much again for joining us. We really appreciate it, but we have to let you know that with your performance this week, you've been named SGU MVP of the week. So congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Well, and we appreciate you hopping on SJHL Weekly. Best of luck this week and the rest of the season with the Humboldt Broncos, Cage.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
That is Humboldt Broncos forward Cage Newans, which we just announced as SGU MVP of the week. We will announce the rest of the players of the week coming up after the break. And we'll also be joined by Alex Schweitzer of SaskEnergy to learn more about the SaskEnergy KidSport partnership for Goals for Kids. This is SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms.
Way for the first ever Chevrolet Silverado ZR2. With Multimatic shocks, rugged 33-inch tires, and front and rear electronic locking differentials.
Dude, this is awesome, but we should get back to work. This good? Perfect.
If you're gonna work remote, work remote. Find new workspaces. Find new roads. Chevrolet.
Original 16. Celebrate things done well.
Increase your home comfort with high-efficiency natural gas equipment. SaskEnergy offers rebates so you can lower your energy use and save money. For a list of rebates, contact a participating network member or visit SaskEnergy.com.
When you buy a lottery ticket in Saskatchewan, your money really goes a long way. More than 12,000 sport, culture, and recreation groups receive funding from Sask Lotteries every year. Everyone wins.
You wouldn't take the ice without protective wear. So why would you take to the job site that way? The SCSA is proud to partner with the SJHL.
Saskatchewan, you know SaskTel, because we're everywhere, keeping you connected to your family and friends, to your history and culture, to those traditions that make us who we are. SaskTel cares, always has, always will, because we're dedicated to our home.
Welcome back to SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms. Thank you so much for joining us on this Monday, wherever you're tuning in from across Saskatchewan or across wherever you are on the SJHL social media platforms. But we're going to head back to the video chat line where we're pleased to be joined by the Supervisor of Community Engagement for SaskEnergy, Alex Schweitzer. Alex, thanks so much for joining us. How's it going today?
I'm good. How are you, Jeremy?
It's going great. Looking forward to catching up because obviously right now the SaskEnergy KidSport Goals for Kids program is well underway. I know we chatted at the beginning of the season, but overall, how's everything going with the partnership this year?
Yeah, just a quick recap. Goals for KidSport, long-standing partnership between SaskEnergy, KidSport, and the SJHL, which we're really proud of, that's aimed at helping youth participate in sport, reducing financial pressure often associated with accessing sport activities. So we're excited, 9th season. And yes, we're here to give the update on the KidSport Cup and the 1,000th goal. So I guess really like the key thing about the program is that for every home goal scored, we donate $20 to KidSport to a maximum of $20,000. So that's 1,000 goals. And as part of that, we're on a race, as you know, for the KidSport Cup, which I guess that's what we're here to give an update on. So currently, I think we're at 814 home goals so far.
We are slowly climbing. As my math this morning, we are, after this past weekend, I do believe we're at 879 goals at home following this weekend with lots of goals at home. So if my math is correct, and I'm going to apologize in advance, Alex, my math is not the greatest. That's why I got into broadcasting. But that means we're at $17,580 already raised so far this year for KidSport, which is outstanding.
Absolutely outstanding. We love this program. We love that it's tied to the home goals. What a fun way to celebrate it. So in the lead for the KidSport Cup that goes along with that, you probably have a little bit more of an updated standing, but so far, actually, maybe I should leave that to you because I'm wondering if I have the most current after this weekend because we had some games. So maybe I'll leave that to you. Who's currently leading?
So it's funny because for most of the season, Alex, it was the Battleford North Stars who had been sitting at the top of the SJHL standings. They were in the lead for the longest time. They had a massive lead at one point. But now after 4 games this week, it is the L'Orange Ice Wolves who sit in first in the KidSport Cup with 106 goals for it. They have played the most home games so far, but we have a new leader in the clubhouse going into this week. So the race is coming down to the wire now.
That's yes. Okay. That matches what I had too. So yeah, we're excited to see that back and forth. I'm sure the North Stars will have something to say about that in their next game, which we'll be excited to watch. But yeah, it's fun. We'll see. Last year, we saw that winner, Esteban was the winner of the KidSport Cup. So it'll be interesting to see who takes it home this year as we come into the, I guess, last part of the season here, which is hard to believe.
You know what? I talked to you about this at the beginning of this season, and obviously the last couple of years has been difficult on everyone. But for you guys in this partnership, what does it mean to be back in the arenas, being able to have KidSport game nights again?
What it means so much. It's such a valuable part of this sponsorship, this partnership. We love getting out there, engaging with the communities, being able to tie in our SaskEnergy network members, getting them to participate, having some fun activities at the rink. It's just, that's what hockey is all about. And that's one of the things we love about this sponsorship is we find that hockey, those community centers, the rinks, they're the heart of the communities. So pulling everybody back together, it's just, yeah, it's been a long time coming and we're just so proud to be part of that and helping facilitate just positive experiences in the communities.
I guess, you know what I mentioned, we're at 879 goals right now for home goals, I should say, going into this week, 4 games again tomorrow. So, my math, again, it's not perfect, but you have to think that we're going to see probably getting close to the 1,000th goal maybe in the next couple of weeks. How excited are you guys, I guess, for that moment to happen? And then do you have anything special planned, I guess, for the person or the player who scores the 1,000th home goal?
We do. Good question. We celebrate that symbolic 1,000th goal with a little presentation and a medal. So we're really looking forward to seeing who that is this year. I was just pulling that up. It was the L'Orange Ice Wolves actually last year. Brian Gilman was the lucky winner of that presentation and scored that symbolic goal. So we'll see where that ends up this year. Maybe not L'Orange, and it's not 8 hours away, but we'll see what happens.
Well, you know what? Regardless, you can stay up to date with the KidSport Cup wherever you ingest your SJHL news across the SJHL social media platforms. Alex, anything else you'd like to touch on just regarding the partnership between KidSport and SaskEnergy, and of course the goals for KidSport and the KidSport Cup?
Yeah, I think one of the other main pieces of the partnership is the Volunteer Champion Awards that we're also really proud of. They often end up being the great billet families that we see in the communities. So we're really proud of that piece of the sponsorship partnership as well, and look forward to continuing those presentations throughout the game nights that are coming up. Just again, SaskEnergy is known as the champion of volunteers throughout Saskatchewan, and what a great tie to be able to support those billet families and those awards in the communities. So we recognize those award winners at each of the game nights, and I was just pulling up some information before this, and we've already seen 8 of our 11 game nights having been completed. We've got 3 more chances for people to participate. We've got February 10th in Estevan, February 21st in Nipawin, and February 28th in Yorkton. So a big month in February for us. So we'll be watching closely from SaskEnergy to see how the season shakes out, and looking forward to those presentations of the KidSport Cup and the 1,000th goal winner.
Yeah, a couple more KidSport game nights. The 1,000th goal is just around the corner. So a very exciting time when it comes to the KidSport Cup, and of course this amazing partnership. Alex, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. And I'm sure we'll be talking soon once that 1,000th home goal gets scored in the SJHL.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
That is Alex Schweitzer, the supervisor of community engagement for SaskEnergy. And of course, again, like I mentioned, if you want to stay up to date with everything when it comes to the KidSport Cup and the partnership for the goals for KidSports, you can go to sjhl.ca where you can see the latest updates. And like we mentioned, the 1,000th goal is just around the corner for the KidSport Cup, which is really exciting. So it's time to bring back in our great co-hosts, Rory Mcgouran and Jamie Neugebauer. And we're not going to forget this week, guys, and I take blame for it from last week. Players of the week. We already touched on players of the week. SGU MVP Cage Newans. We announced it to him. What a week, Rory. 2 goals, 5 assists for Cage Newans, and leading the way for the Broncos with 3 big victories this past week.
Yeah, he's been a force all over the ice. As Jamie asked him how he blends his game on the line, physically, toughness, grit, tough to play against, and then the offensive side of his game too. 7 points in 3 games, but you go back even farther. He's got 10 points in his last 5 games, combined with 36 penalty minutes across those 5 games. So, he's just a guy that no one really wants to play against. He's tough, he's physical, and he scores on you too. So great week for him to have the Broncos go 3-0.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, a big week for the Humboldt Broncos. Jamie, let's move on to the Super U Defenseman of the Week. And I know we definitely kind of went back and forth a little bit on this one, but we ended up deciding on Liam McInnes from the L'Orange Ice Wolves, a goal and 4 assists. And a big week for the L'Orange Ice Wolves, and getting Liam McInnes back in the lineup. That's a big boost for the L'Orange Ice Wolves back end.
Yeah, a huge boost. You talk about trade deadline acquisitions. I mean, getting him back from injury, what an acquisition for L'Orange, right? I mean, think about that for a second. He hadn't played since October the 25th, and he has been absolutely lights out since, to just jump right back in and be effective. He has 15 points in 14 games this year, and he had 0 points in his first 4 games this year. So he has been deadly. And, Rory talked about, Cage Newans being a hard guy to play against. But Liam McInnes, one of the things that make the SJHL beautiful is that the talented players are also hard to play against. And Liam McInnes is hard to play against. Great to see him back in action playing for L'Orange after a long time off. And I know Kevin Kaminski is just thrilled. And all of a sudden that L'Orange decor is pretty deep.
Yeah, 100%. Because at the beginning of the year, they weren't getting too much offense from their blue line, but now they're really definitely contributing for the Laurent Ice Wolves. So congratulations to Liam McInnes, Super U Defenseman of the Week. Moving on to Direct West Rookie of the Week, Rory, and we're going back to the Humboldt Broncos and Matthew Van Blaricom, a goal and 2 assists. Maybe just talk about his play, not just this week, but really since joining the Humboldt Broncos and how impressive he has been for them.
I think the most impressive thing about Van Blaricom is as a 16-year-old player, he's not shy from getting in the messy areas, from getting physical, from kind of being a bit of a thorn in the side, to put it politely. He has that kind of, Brad Marchand type of angle to his game where you just don't really like him when you're going up against him. And he's got 5 points in his last 5 games. He's, nearly a point per game player. And I know Cage Newans really hyped him up, saying that Division I scholarship's coming with the year. And I wouldn't be surprised if it comes in the next week, right? That's the kind of hockey that Van Blaricom's playing. And there's going to be an NCAA team out there that's really lucky to get him. But yeah, you kind of just a little bit of sandpaper, some offensive ability. Of course, he was, drafted 6th overall back in June, and the Broncos got a good one with that pick.
100% they did. So congratulations to Matthew Van Blaricom, Direct West Rookie of the Week with a goal and 2 assists this past week. And finally, Jamie, we head to the SaskTel Goalie of the Week, and we decided on Jackson Fellner of the Nipawin Hawks. 2 wins, a goals against average of 1.92. And really, since the acquisition of Jackson Fellner for the Nipawin Hawks, they've kind of stabilized, their goaltending, which was struggling at the beginning of the season. And we've seen a great turnaround for the Nipawin Hawks.
Yeah, and not only 2 wins you mentioned there, Jeremy, but Rory's color guy there in Martinsville, Jordan Fry, will know that playing neutral site games in those small barns isn't easy, and he won both of those games at neutral site venues for Nipawin, at Wadena and at Rosetown against Kindersley, and tight,
that's right.
Hard fought games too. So, he was right in there. Again, talk about a kid who, has been through a bit in his career so far. This is his 5th team now in junior hockey in 2 years. You think about he was in the AJ, then he was in Weyburn, then he was in Melfort, then he was in Junior B, and then now he's in Nipawin. So, a kid that's mentally kept it together to be a big part of, as you mentioned, what Nipawin is doing. Big time kudos. He's a big boy. I think that helps, but he's a very talented kid that teams have kind of moved off on, and Tad Kozon, I'm sure, has a big smile on his face as a result. And I know he and Dana Dirks and everybody up there in Nipawin are very happy with their goalie situation right now.
For sure. So in recap, SGEU MVP of the week, Cage Newans of the Humboldt Broncos with 2 goals and 5 assists. Super U Defenseman of the week, Liam McInnes of the Laurent Ice Wolves with a goal and 4 assists. Direct West Rookie of the week, Matthew Van Blaricom of the Humboldt Broncos, a goal and 2 assists. And SaskTel Goalie of the week, Jackson Fellner of the Nipawin Hawks, 2 wins, so 1.92 goals against average and a .911 save percentage. Now, I mentioned I wasn't going to forget about players of the week, but we did forget about one thing, and that is the Tourism Saskatchewan highlight of the week. So we're going to head back to Laurent, where we find this week's highlight. Have a look.
Just here tonight in game 100 for the Regina product. He carries it into the zone. Walker Jerome, some steam, some moves, and he scores! Walker Jerome! As he beats her Licka like a rented mule.
Wow, forehand to backhand outweight.
Yeah, great goal by Walker Jerome. And we talked about Walker Jerome last week when it came to the lineups for the SJHL MJHL showcase. And a great move there by Walker to help secure a win for the Laurent Ice Wolves last week. Rory, you mentioned you had something you wanted to bring up.
Oh, I just thought, everyone loves the rapid fire for the interviews that we have. I thought we'd still have about 8 minutes time. I could throw you guys a couple of rapid fire questions as we head into the showcase here. Starting with who's your guys' pick? Because I know, Jeremy, you're heading down to Manitoba for the MJSJ showcase. Who do you think is the SJHL MVP after the showcase games? On the rookie team is the first question, and then the vet team is the follow-up question. Sorry to put you on the spot, but who do you got, Nugsy?
Nugsy, you can go first on that one.
So on the veterans team, just sort of based on the way that he's playing lately and how few people are talking about him, but how good he's been pretty much all year, it's Cade Runke for me for Estevan. I think he's been sensational. He's been good defensively, so he can really shoot it. I'm going with Cade Runke. And on the young gun side of things, you know what? Like it's every time every time I watch Zach Summers, he does something to impress me. So he's sort of my 1A, and then 1B that'll open new people's eyes, I think. And I'm going to stick with Estevan, and I'm going to stick with Jag Pangura, who is such a powerful guy, power forward, maybe one of the best power forwards in this league. Doesn't matter his age. So I'm going to go with Runke for the old guys, and I'm going to go with Pangura for the young kids and the Estevan Bruins. There you go.
The old
Send
guys?
your checks, Tarts. Yeah.
I mean, we're the old guys. I don't know if the players are the old guys there, Nugsy. I'll go in a bit of a different direction. I think one player that I think is going to get a lot of recognition, I think, after next week is going to be Xander Stewart of the Nipawin Hawks. I would not be surprised if we see potentially commitment come down the pipe with how well he's played this season. I mean, he's done a little bit of everything for the Nipawin Hawks this year, so I wouldn't be surprised if anything comes down for him. On the young team, that's a tough one. There's so many. We talked about it, guys, how good that young team is for the SJHL. I think right now with how well he's playing, I'll say Ty Mason of the Weyburn Red Wings because of how well he's played as of late. I mean, the confidence he's built through playing with a guy like Riley Morgan and how well the Weyburn Red Wings have been playing as of right now. I'll go with Ty Mason. How about you, Rory? What are your answers for your question?
You stole my rookie one. I was going to go Ty Mason as well.
Yeah.
So to shake it up, I'm going to keep it with Ty Mason. It's nothing wrong with agreeing. And for the vets, I'll take a dark horse. I'll go McGuire Ratzlav of the Nipawin Hawks. I think with that release he has, and he's the only Nipawin Hawk forward, so he's going to be getting some new teammates, and maybe I don't know how they're going to try to set McGuire Ratzlav up on that team, but I think Scott Barney will have some tricks up his sleeve to get that shot off. And I'll take Ratzlav. I got one more for each of you quickly. Jeremy, if you had to put your play-by-play hat back on, what building would you like to call your first game back in? And for Nugsy, I know you love talking about the Notre Dame Hounds, so I'll give you one last chance to. And if you were sick, what player would you want to fill in for you?
Nugsy, you want me to go first? It's an easy answer for me. I'd say the Whitney Forum in Flin Flon, 100%. I don't know. I talked with our good friend Rob Hart when I went up there first at the beginning of the season, and honestly, you just walk in that arena, and the atmosphere is different, and there's something magical about that place. So I'd easily have to say the Whitney Forum. Nugsy, what about you for your question?
So I'm gonna put a booth together. I think play-by-play Evan Vanden Heuvel would be really good. He's a great talker. And then just for pure entertainment factor, just because he's totally one of the biggest goofs of my whole career, is Tucker Inabene. He is an absolute he's an absolute character and a half. So Evan Vanden Heuvel doing the play-by-play and Tucker Inabene doing the color, because he's very colorful.
Well, and everyone loves your everyone loves your segments with Tucker and Abene, Nugsy.
Oh, he's a character, man. Oh,
yeah, for sure. Well, before of course, you're welcome. Before we go, let's take a look at the action resumes in the SJHL tomorrow night. A big Tuesday night. 4 games on the schedule. There's only 3 on this one, but that's because there is a rescheduled game, and that's between LaRange and Battleford. Yorkton is going to be in Nipawin to take on the Hawks. Hawks looking for their 6th straight win. The Kindersley Clippers begin 4 games in 5 nights as they take on the Weyburn Red Wings, and then a big one at the Northern Lights Palace as the Melfort Mustangs play host to the Flin Flon Bombers. And then on Wednesday, just 1 game on the schedule. Kindersley visits Wilcox to take on the Notre Dame Hounds. 8 o'clock puck drop. And then it's a busy weekend. We don't have the graphics for the weekend, but 6 games Friday, 5 games Saturday. It's a busy week, and of course the races are they're tight, that's for sure, wherever you look at the standings. Rory, I'll start with you. What are you looking at, and what are you paying attention to this week in the SJ?
Okay, I'm going to pick 3, and I'll be quick.
Ooh.
The undefeated teams, I got an eye on them. It's Humboldt, Weyburn, and the slippery swimming pool, the Nipawin Hawks. So those 3 teams I'm keeping an eye on. I'm looking at Estevan heading to Flin Flon. It's the first time that the Bruins are back into the Whitney Forum since last year's finals. And then, of course, the SJHL Showcase coming up after the weekend as well. I'm also looking forward to getting back in studio and seeing you guys in person. I miss you. So those are 4 things now that I will cross off the list for this week.
That's okay. That's okay. You can have multiple things. Noogsy?
Yeah, like the 2 games, L'Orange and Battlefords, I mentioned it earlier. I think that'll be special. See how Battlefords bounces back after those 2 games against Humboldt. And Flin Flon and Melfort, I think Rory just mentioned it. But, that one, and I don't know this for any sort of fact, but I obviously I really hope just for them as kids that Jared Sitch and Vinny Palmerine might be back pretty soon. Really hope for them, and especially for Vinny Palmerine, I think, who's really close. Rory talked about Van Blericom for a scholarship. I think Vinny Palmerine's probably pretty close, or would have been, especially if he didn't get hurt for so long. So good to, would be really, really good to see them both back as from a human perspective. So looking forward to hopefully seeing them and get some minutes before the SJMG.
Mm-hmm. For sure. It's going to be a great week in the SJHL before the SJHL MJHL showcase next week. Before we go, though, we have to talk a little bit about the SJHL raffle, which is underway right now. Tickets are going fast. There's the graphic as the Polaris side-by-side pops up. Ticket sales are underway, I should say, and you can find all the ticket information at sjhlraffle.ca. 1 for $25, 3 for $60, 10 for $100. The deadline to purchase your tickets is April 23rd, and of course the draw will be done on April 27th. All the information you need to know for the SJHL raffle is at sjhlraffle.ca. And we got to give a big shout out to our sponsors once again for all the great support that we have on SJHL Weekly: Chevrolet, Capital Auto Mall, Cantera Seeds, RBC, SaskTel, SGU, Direct West, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Tourism Saskatchewan, Young's Equipment, SGI. Thank you so much for your support, because without your support, these shows would not be possible. Of course, you can stay up to date with everything in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League on the SJHL social media channels. So be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. That is where you can catch all the shows, features, highlights, and much, much more. So stay up to date with everything in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. For Rory Mcgouran, Jamie Neugebauer, my name is Jeromy Corrigan, and this has been another great episode of SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms.